Hi everybody, I hope that you are well. So this week I turned 31 and it's a bit of a funny birthday for me, especially after kind of considering the year that I had last year. So I had huge expectations that 30 was going to be my year, and it was going to be the year that I flew and blossomed, and quite a few significant things happened when I turned 30. Like, I came out of a relationship, I moved into my own apartment, I lived alone for the first time in my adult life, apart from kind of sharing and stuff. I generally always live with boyfriends or family. So I moved out on my own, which actually caused me quite a bit of anxiety, but anyway, it didn't take long for a different type of anxiety to take over. But it was so I was 30 was going to be the year that I got my shit together. And well, I guess that happened in one way or another. Yes, interesting year. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rosanna Croft. I'm the host of this podcast and YouTube channel, Design Your Legacy. I believe that we all leave a legacy whether we realise it or not, and I want to help inspire people all over the world to leave a legacy that they're proud of and in some way follow their dreams. I'm also the founder of a fine jewellery company, Rosanna Croft Jewellery, where we create pieces of jewellery that will empower the wearer, they celebrate love, and they carry these legacies throughout generations. And legacy is really important to me because I think it's not something that we're asked to think about when we either pick a career or choose our goals. Really, it's something, and legacy is, what you leave behind. I think in its kind of most literal sense is financially, a financial legacy, but also I think it's a set of beliefs and values that we leave behind, either to our children or to those in our community or to people whose lives we've touched. And last year, legacy took on a more powerful meaning to me, not different, just more powerful. And this has been something that I've stood for a few years now, that we should just go and live our very best lives no matter what and not let anything get in our way. And then last year I was given a challenge that made me actually become living proof of that. So I was diagnosed with cancer, a rare type of breast cancer, 1 week after I moved into my shiny new apartment, and I was forced to kind of reevaluate everything. Well, not reevaluate, but just live differently. And a few of my birthday messages this year, and I'm so grateful for every birthday message I had, because it's, well, a lot of the time it takes Facebook to remind us that it's somebody's birthday, but I'm very grateful that I have lots of friends and family who think of me. So and a lot of these messages said, I hope that 31 isn't as shit as 30. And I actually don't think 30 was shit. 30 was hard. 30 in some respects was my year. It was my year to prove everything that I'd been learning. It was my year to become the woman that I knew I wanted to be and actually who I was. So it was almost like a reckoning of sorts. It wasn't a shit year. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. My body was physically challenged. I was mentally challenged. I went through some episodes of kind of, like mental things that, you read about, you don't necessarily have them. I had chemotherapy, I had a double mastectomy and a reconstruction, which you don't really expect to have at 30 years old. I was challenged in every sense of the word, but I do believe that I came out so much stronger. At the beginning, I wrote in my journal, I want to come out of this the healthiest I have ever been. And that's a big ask. When you think about the strength that chemotherapy strips from you and the mental toll it takes on you. But I do believe that I did come out of it healthier. Maybe not physically stronger, but I came out of it with a better sense of knowing what was good for me and what wasn't good for me. I learned one hell of a lot. 1 year old, 10 years wiser is how I feel. For years and years and years, I've strived to be somebody else. I've pushed and pushed to try and, I say fit in, but I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be thought highly of. I had big goals and challenges for myself that they didn't necessarily fit in with my actual core values and beliefs. So I was pushing for the wrong things, and actually, if I really want to live this legacy that I harp on about, then I needed last year to shake me up, to help me connect more deeply with myself than I ever thought possible. I learned so much last year, and things that I didn't think I would have to learn at 30. I don't really know when you're supposed to learn these things. It's not a timeline, is it, of when you're 41 you're going to learn such and such, and when you're 26 you learn this, but you don't learn a lot in your 20s. Well, I don't think that's true. So I'm still trying to get my head around it, this birthday was different to me. Normally it's a massive celebration. I generally do a little bit of reflecting, but New Year's kind of more prominent for me. New Year's when I sit and take stock and think about where I want to go for the year ahead. My birthday generally is just a massive piss up. And whilst it was that this year, it was just another day. And in fact, I felt probably more sad than anything. Maybe I was grieving a bit of the me that was. I feel like yesterday I was advised by somebody to draw a line in the sand of my past and get over that. Cross that line, leave the past behind. And that was in a business sense. But actually, I wonder if that's what happened over the weekend, was I'm drawing a line and stepping out of who I was and actually into the woman that I know that I am. And we're always encouraged, I think I've spoken about this before, we're encouraged to think about who we want to become, especially in the personal development world. Who do we want to become? Who is our future self? What do they want? What do they look like? What goals are they going to achieve? What things do they want materially? Who do you want to be in a relationship with? Like, what physical challenges can you undertake? And I do think it's good to have things to focus on. I've just agreed to row the Atlantic, so I have a physical challenge to focus on. But I think what it's important to realise is that actually these aspects of who we want to be, we are actually already that person. We just need to believe it, and we need to connect with that person. We don't need to try and be somebody else, because whoever we want to be, we are them. And personal development has a bit of a tendency to make us think that we are not okay as we are, And actually we are all just love, and we are all abundance, and we are all just infinite spirit. And this is one thing, it's taken the last 6 months or 8, whatever month I'm on now, it's taken me this long to actually realize that. And that's because I wanted to go places in my mind that I'd never been before. I actually use this time as great spiritual growth, and so it's been really quite profound for me. I understood things that I before only sort of believed, and now every day I'm connecting to a part of myself that we read about in books, we connect to. Well, I spend time in meditation not to de-stress, but to connect to something greater than the physical body that I am, or the physical body that I'm in, which doesn't speak to everybody. But I believe that the world is changing, and I do believe it's important for us to connect to ourselves. So for me, actually, the last year was an awakening rather than a challenge. Or it was a challenge, who knows. So I feel 10 years wiser than my years. I'm always told I'm an old soul, and probably not in the same place as most 30-year-olds. But then that makes me think, like, actually, what is age? Time is actually a social construct. Time isn't real. Time is something that was invented to make our lives easier. It's not a truth. It's not a real thing. So these ages that we are actually, it's great, isn't it? Because we get to celebrate, and we get to have a party, and we get to, and it's a time for connection actually with family and with ourselves, which is lovely, and humans need connection. So that's why I think birthdays are actually really special. But this one was definitely different for me. I don't feel like it was a birthday. I feel like it was a chance to reflect and actually leave the first 30 years of my life in the past. Still carry them and connect to them, but they are just a figment of, well, they're just a memory. And I'll use that memory to grow and to become the woman that I know that I am and who I want to be, but I won't be defined by them, because again, memories aren't real. They're only real in the moment. Like the only thing that's real right now is this moment. Everything else doesn't mean anything. It only means the meaning that we give it, and that is, you take that on board, gosh, you'll relieve a lot of stress from worrying about the future and thinking about the challenges of your past. I think that you just spend more time in presence, and that's a massive thing I learned over the last year. Like, I used to go. I was either worrying about the future, dwelling on the past, trying to make stuff happen. I was the duck on the water, but I wasn't. I was like a tornado trying to get somewhere else, trying to achieve something. It was all about the destination. It was never about the journey. And now actually I feel much more connected to just this moment. And for me, that's more important than striving to be something that I want the world to see. Like, I think that that's a recipe for disaster and a recipe for illness and disease. And I think to live a healthy life and to live your most fulfilled life, you have to really be connected to the present moment and yourself in that present moment, because that is all that we have. As cheesy as it sounds, Eckhart Tolle's onto something. And I think in that, last year I learned to let go and I learned to surrender, and that itself this year has brought magic. It's the things that I've surrendered to and let go of these goals that I had set. So I'd like to achieve such and such. I'd like to achieve, at the minute I've started training physically again so that I can get my body strong. In May, I've got a half marathon to run. Before I would have, I need to beat my PB. I think my PB is something like 1:45. So if I was the me from a year ago or 2 years ago, I'd be like, right, okay, well, I need to get in. I'm aiming for 1:35, which is a good goal to have. But actually, I'd rather go and enjoy the race now. I'd rather just get around, and if it's meant to be that I get 1:35, then I get 1:35, and that'll be great. I mean, considering I've started training again 3 months before and haven't run since I did my first run this morning, since about 8 months ago. In fact, I probably remember my last run, and I think it was a 10-mile run, and I was so poorly by the end of it. I was like, what was wrong with my body? Now I know what was wrong with my body. But yeah, that was a really funny time. But yeah, so like when it's nice to have a focus, and I have a few focuses in my life, but I don't want to just I don't want to set goals as I did before, smart goals, because actually they don't work. They're not going to get me where I want to be. Where I want to be is happy and fulfilled and in a state of peace and joy, and goals don't do that. They kind of remind me of, goals are a reminder of lack and what you don't have. Whereas I think if we can learn to connect to the now and the present and what we have in the present. So I have a healthy physical body. I have a beautiful, loving cat. Playful cat. We had a little play fight this morning. I have a gorgeous apartment. But actually, if I didn't have any of those things, I would still be okay. Because I have me, and I have my consciousness and everything that comes with that, and a belief that I'm growing and connecting deeper and deeper to whatever it is that we're connecting to. I think so. 1 year older, 10 years wiser, potentially. I'm sure I'll have my moments and will slip and what have you, but then how else do we grow if we're not making mistakes and learning from them? A couple of other things that I learned over the last year were the people in my life, and actually the people I'd like in my life going forward. Everybody in our lives is a reflection of who we are and where we are at that moment, and I know the type of people I want in that reflection, and that's the type of person that I then need to become. And it's interesting kind of thinking about the people who were in my life a couple of years ago, and now they're not in my life, and that's because I've changed and I've grown, and that is not a bad thing. These people aren't bad, they're not negative, they're not anything, they just are a reflection of who I was at that time. So really interesting kind of having that realization. Very, very interesting. And it was also quite prevalent to me, the women that came and celebrated my birthday with me. I'm very, very grateful for each of those women, all for different reasons, and I can see different parts of myself in all of them. It's really quite fascinating when you look at it from a bit of when you look at it from a place of knowing and realizing that they're a reflection of me. Yes, and very grateful for all of them. And I have learned that as well, is to be grateful for the people in my life, because everybody's there for a reason, and without the people in my life last year, it would have been a lot harder. It would have been a lot more difficult, and I wouldn't be in this reflective position that I am in today. So yeah. Anyway, it has been, I just felt like rambling a little bit about the last 6 months, because I do believe that we are encouraged to push and push and push and push, and that's not always the healthiest thing to do. And I think that we need to build a life that we're happy with, and not one where we're concentrating on not having enough and not being enough. If we can connect to the fact that we are enough, because we are love, we are abundance, we are whatever we want to be, and really that's all that matters, that's all that we need. We have everything we need, we are everything we need, and we're co-creating this life, and co-creating means surrendering and realizing that we are being guided, and we can be guided if we want to be. And even if you don't necessarily understand where I'm coming from, think about if we're being guided, doesn't that take so much pressure off you? Like, to just say, okay, I know that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I know this is exactly the right thing for me right now. And then you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the thing that you need to do, the thing that you're supposed to be doing because you want to be here, and you're not getting there, and you're not there yet, and you're not the person you want to be. You don't look how you want to look. Everything is right. You're learning. Yes, you take action, but just take time to connect to yourself, and you'll realize that you're guided. And it's quite a freeing thought. I do think actually it's probably one of the ultimate freedoms, is realizing that we are guided. Yes, anyway, okay, I'm going to leave it there, because I have inspired action to go and take for some exciting new projects in my life that have happened because I surrendered. So yeah, 1 year older, 10 years wiser, potentially. And I'll leave you with that. If you liked the video, or you liked my little birthday ramblings, then please share with a friend, subscribe, hit like, or leave a review. If you're interested in learning more about how you can connect with me, please read the description. I am taking on one-on-one coaching clients at the moment. If you are interested in kind of connecting to that deeper self and thinking about like the legacy that you want to leave behind, and how by following your intuition you can get there, probably with a lot less stress than setting massive humongous goals every month. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. Have such a wonderful day, and I send you lots of love.